ask if those folks that are in the back of the room, if there's at any time that you can't hear us as we're speaking, just please raise your hand like this, and I'll know that you're having trouble hearing us. Frankly, sometimes when we're talking here, our voices may drift off because after a while, we do get somewhat tired of saying, probably repeating ourselves multiple times here, but not from the perspective of giving out information, no misunderstanding, but after a while, it can be trying for all of us, I think. I'm going to wait for our town attorney to return, and then we'll begin the meeting. Thanks for your patience. And for those of you that don't have seats, I apologize. If you want to take a chance and grab a chair on the side or and bring it as close as you can, I appreciate that. I think we have to leave the center here open. What I'll do is, I think I'll open up the meeting and wait for Pete to get here. We'll do the roll. Let's just get started and then change. Oh, no, I'll mention it. Okay, thank you all for coming for the May 24, 2017 meeting of the Rotterdam Town Board here at the Center for Advanced Technology, Mohonasen. We had our agenda meeting, we had a tour, first of the Technology Center here, and thanks to the Mohonasen administration and the individuals here who assisted us in giving us the tour today. This is a phenomenal resource, particularly for our children, but for the community. If you haven't had a chance to tour it yourselves at some point in the future, if you see that it's open, it'll probably wow you. Honestly, it's really neat. And as I think Joe commented at one point, the wood shop is not like the wood shop we had when we were. This is a very interesting collaboration here with BOCES, and I'll just leave it at this. While these students are learning a lot about trades, or they're learning something that is very unique in the way of technology, they're also learning a tremendous amount about safety here and how to use tools and what to do. And I think that also is absolutely necessary today. We all use tools at our own homes, and we probably could talk about little accidents that we've had with different things at home. But you see some of the technology, what they're using here is just phenomenal. So if you get a chance to do that, do the tour. So we had our agenda review we started at approximately 6:15, and for those of you that were here, we were done at about quarter to 7. So, Ms. Marco, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Christo?
Here.
Mr. Lamore?
Here.
Mrs. Miller-Guerrero is absent. Mr. Villano?
Here.
Mr. Tomazone?
Present.
4 present, 1 absent.
Okay, now I don't see the American flag in this room. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn, I think, this way. Is that the flag goes out that way towards the fields? We'll just, anyone know? Does anyone have a flag pin on it? Let's turn that way. It's not all that way, it's going to be okay. Okay, very good, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. So under supervisor's report, I'd just like to make mention of a couple of events that will be taking place here. So tomorrow evening, we'll be having our Memorial Day Parade scheduled to start at 6:30 p.m. and we'll be marching here from Mohonasen School to Rotterdam Town Hall on Sunrise Boulevard. And then on Monday, May 29th at 2:30 p.m., we have our 57th annual Rotterdam Memorial Day service, and that will be held outside at the Rotterdam Town Hall monuments that is right on Sunrise Boulevard. Obviously, if there's inclement weather, we'll go inside. And then also, this is posted on our website, the Skankton County Household Hazardous Waste Collection Program. There are various dates, so the next date's at the compost facility in Hedgetown Road for the county is June 24th. So, for those of you that have, if you do have any hazardous waste, paints, that kind of thing you need to get rid of, you can find this flyer right on our town website, rotterdamny.org. gives all the dates for the, and the restrictions, if you will. The registration is required prior to the collection, prior to going there. So if you need to get rid of some, again, hazardous waste, please contact the county, and the information is contained, again, on our town website. At this time, I'd like to call John Woodward. Everyone knows and loves John Woodward. John is our county clerk. He served prior as our receiver of taxes, here as a member of the Mohonasen School Board when he was 18 years old, the youngest elected school board member in the state of New York at the time. And John has accepted the position for our community of being town historian. So John is going to present his annual report to us, which he has to do. And thank you, John.
I didn't realize that so many people would come to be excited about the town.
Time is everything, John.
Thank you for the audience. I'm just going to give a very brief report. I've actually only been the town historian for about 4 months, and I have submitted a written report to the town board for their review. I'm just going to go over this quickly because I know you have other matters tonight. I started the job with realizing that we didn't really have a formalized job description for the position. So went out and did some research, and I've included in the written version of the report a job description and a code of ethics that historians should use. I have actually met with the state historian Devin Lander in Albany, and I've actually had a meeting with Ron Severson, who is our former town historian, to talk about kind of the roles and responsibilities of the job. I've had some interaction with Ed Riley, who's the county historian, and I'm going to be meeting with him shortly. I'm proud to say that I was elected to the board of directors of the Schenectady County Historical Society in April, and we have such a relationship with that group. I have joined the Association of Public Historians, the Capital District Genealogical Society, and I've joined a couple of sister organizations like the Duanesburg Historical Society and the Albany County Historical Society. So I've met with our county library officials to review what materials they have, and I've reviewed with the Historic Society their library and archives. In Rotterdam here, I've done a number of things. I spoke to a couple of community groups about Rotterdam history. We've begun a file system of information on various subjects. We've met with a social media expert because we're thinking about establishing a Facebook page in order to do various historic postings and get people's reactions. It's a great way to get people to learn. We've started to put together a contact list of folks who are interested in getting involved in our bicentennial committee. As many of you know, Rotterdam is going to be celebrating its 200th anniversary in 1820, so we're going to be in the process of putting together a citizens committee to have all kinds of activities. And last but not least, I printed up some bumper stickers for Rotterdam, and I've left some on the table in the back, and you can get to the town clerks. We're kind of doing a pre-campaign to make people aware that we're having a bicentennial celebration. It's 3 years away. It'll come quickly, but we have to prepare for it. And I guess I would just ask if anybody from the community or whatever wants to participate, please contact me. My name, address, and email is on the website, or they can call me at the county clerk's office. So with that, if there's any other questions, comments?
I want to thank you personally. I met recently, and I did that again. Thank you very much for taking on the role. The 200th anniversary of the town is extremely important, and I honestly don't think that there's anyone in the community that could assist us as well as John with the knowledge and history that he knows of our community. More importantly, the contacts that he has will help us make our celebration in 2020 really spectacular and memorable.
One question. Are you going to be looking for any donations or anything?
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about that. We have to come up with some mechanism on that. No. We have to check out some various legal components of what you can do and can't do. So.
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much. So at this time, we're going to forward the developer and his team to make a presentation regarding the Whispering Pines project. There have been some changes that we've been made aware of in the last couple of days, and want to afford them the opportunity to review those changes with you publicly here that they're proposing, and then we'll go into the public hearings, and we'll have question and answer there from the perspective of what we would ask you to do when you do go up during the public hearing, and I'm going to repeat this a second time before we start, is that you address the board. I don't want to have a lot of back and forth. My concern is, again, I'd like to keep order here during the meeting, and you have our commitment to what we're going to do after the meeting is concluded and we have it all recorded. We are going to make a summary of questions and provide answers. If there is a question that we cannot answer, that is not answered, I should say, during this presentation, please ask it. Please know that we may or may not have the answer for you at this time, but we will provide it in a form that will be available to everyone on our town website. Okay? So, and I think, how many people will we have speaking this evening, potentially total? Is it more than 20?
17.
17. So if you can keep your comments to 4 or 5 minutes, I mean, I'm not going to gavel, you know. If you can keep it shorter than that, that's great. But it just gives everybody an opportunity to not get, I think, I want to say, too exhausted, because all of these things can be emotional and trying. And believe me, if it is for you, understand that it is for us too. Even though from time to time we may not show it on our faces, it is, you know, we're all in the same community here. So we want to be approachable, and we want to ensure that you have your opportunity to be heard on what your concerns are. So at this time, Teresa, if you're doing a presentation, would you mind? And you guys, I'm just going to go stand over there. I think I kind of have to move. Kate, I think that seat's for you. Yeah. Sure? You don't want to go sit over there? Sure? All right, I'm good. Okay.
Thank you very much, Town Supervisor and Town Board members, for an opportunity to brief the crowd on some of the changes and some of the updates to the project since our last presentation. The first thing to sort of set the stage is that, as we all know, the Town of Rotterdam has a very comprehensive plan, very robust. And in that plan, there's been studies to show that there's a growing elderly population in the town of Rotterdam. And that's also true in the surrounding areas. So the town's comprehensive plan, the vision for the town, involved expanding opportunities for housing arrangements to meet the needs of the elderly and also the disabled. And so what we're trying to do with this project overall is offer an age-in-place option. We're promoting housing diversity with different housing options available to people, and we're also looking at the types of things that one would want to do along with the housing, and that's various recreational opportunities, like changing the existing golf course but still preserving its use. We've also paid a lot of attention to very small-scale commercial uses that people may want to have in close proximity to where they live. This is, you know, places where you can buy coffee, places where you can pick up a few items, places where you might be able to fill your prescriptions. The other goal of this is to also preserve open space. And so in the local law and also in the design of the project, we have provided for no less than 40% open space. We're leaving all the wetlands on site intact. There are a few areas on site. And we have also maintained and now expanded buffers to the majority of the adjoining residents. And we also are very sensitive to the fact that we want to limit the timeframes for certain construction activities so that people are not disturbed. So these are the overall ideas. Now, in many of the surrounding towns, such as the town of Guilderland, there are zoning districts, PDDs, where they allow senior housing. One of the closest to this area is the Mill Hill, where they have an assisted living facility, and they also have townhomes in close proximity. And it all goes back to this idea of giving people an opportunity to retire where they currently live. So this is for people in Rotterdam who want to stay in Rotterdam, but may not want to continue to mow their lawns. And this is the general location of the site. And right here, this is the project site superimposed over the Google map. So you can see it in relation to Helderberg Avenue, Cipriana Terrace, and you can see through the screen, if you will, the fact that the golf course is already there. So when we originally applied for this change in zone, this was what the plan looked like. It had 680 units. It had, of those 680 units, 144 were for assisted living, and 108 were for memory care. There were also independent living apartment units in the amount of 278 units. The single-family units were 150 units, and the single-family units are either townhomes or cottages. So what did we do? So there were a number of presentations, public presentations on the project, both to the town board, also to the planning board. There was also a neighborhood informational meeting that took place in May. So the kind of feedback that we got from these meetings were some concern about vagueness in the local law, issues concerning fire protection, presence of commercial use, and in particular the urgent care, and then questions about more typical land use and planning issues like water table depth, density, visibility, and traffic. So to be responsive to the feedback, what we did is, first and foremost, we eliminated the urgent care. So by eliminating the urgent care, we were able to push back the independent living units and to have a much larger buffer area there in the front. There's no parking there, just the road as it goes around the building, which is required for fire protection. And so there is no urgent care. We also reduced the units to 680, from 680, forgive me, to 521. The assisted living and the memory care numbers stayed the same. The independent living apartment units, however, were reduced to 144. So they went from 278 to 144. The single-family units were reduced from 150 to 125. Equally important, the height of the buildings was reduced. Originally, we had proposed to have underground parking. That's been eliminated. And because of the fewer independent living apartment units, we're able to make all the buildings 2 or 3 stories. The buildings closest to Helderberg are 2 stories. We were also able to change the arrangement somewhat, which moved them back from Helderberg. We also substantially increased the buffer all around the site. So we pushed all the development further into the interior, and we have left an area that's zoned, that will continue to be zoned agricultural, residential, so that it can't be used and associated with the senior living district. So the way we attempted to respond to feedback was by modifying the project plan. We've had several meetings with the fire department to make sure that we're dealing with any questions or concerns related to fire protection. We want people who live here to be safe. We have also eliminated the urgent care, because that really, of all the things that we received comments on, that was the thing that people had the most concern about. And any commercial is within the buildings, and it's very small scale, just for the convenience of the people that live there. We did extensive soil testing, found that the soils on site are sandy, and that the groundwater is relatively deep. There is a perched surface water, which we will be easily able to deal with using the stormwater pollution prevention standards that DEC has developed. The density's been significantly reduced, 278 to 144, and we reduced 25 single-family homes. And understand that a lot of the interest in the project is from people who would like to live in the single-family homes, but would like somebody else to maintain the exterior, which I can certainly understand. For the visibility, we've limited the building height, and we've moved the buildings back, and we've also, because we're lowering the number of units, we've also lowered the vehicle trips. Hopefully this will show up. The idea here was to compare side to side the previous plan and this plan. Whoops. There we go. Back again. All right. And so that's just going over the issues that I've already raised, but I think it's helpful. It's helpful to me to see in comparison side by side. And the parking has all, to the extent we possibly could, been moved to the back. So the goal of this is to have only the two entrances in proximity to any of the surrounding uses. The pink item there on by moving everything back and relocating the parking, we were also able to retain a natural feature that has trees on it and provides a lot of screening from Helderberg Avenue. So this was the original plan again, and the original rendering. That rendering is no longer reflective of what we're building. But what we're going to do here is switch to the visual, to the traffic. All right, so Wendy's going to come up and talk about the changes related to traffic. And then we'll also have some renderings to show what the visual impression will be of the new facility. Here you go. And lastly, we also have a petition in favor of the project, which I'll be giving to the town clerk.
Good evening. For the record, Wendy Holzberger from VHB. As Teresa noted, we were the transportation consultants for the project, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the changes and the impact that it had on the traffic study, as well as kind of give you an idea of some of the components of that study that we completed. First off, just to talk about the study area that we looked at. Our study included, here's the site here, the intersections of Helderberg Avenue and Curry Road and Altamont Avenue, which are over a mile away from the actual site. And then down below, we looked at the East Lydia Street, West Lydia Street intersection, with Harmon Road, which is about a mile and a half away from the site. We also did a separate study specifically to address the additional traffic on County Line Road as well. So this scope was actually coordinated with the town and their town designated engineer, which is CHA Associates. And the study itself is somewhat bigger than a study that we normally would do for a site with the level of traffic that this site does generate. Again, this just kind of reviews those changes that Teresa already went over in detail. We completed an original traffic impact study on April 7th. That study was... Disappeared. There it is. That study was reviewed by the town designated engineer. They provided comments to us. We responded to those comments in a letter April 24th. And in the meantime, we also did that specific letter on the county line road, which the town engineer did review as well. We presented at that neighborhood meeting, we presented the traffic study, and then today, hot off the presses, we have another study that addresses these changes that were discussed earlier, which does show a reduction in the level of traffic. The study itself for those intersections and along the site frontage included detailed intersection analysis. We completed a safety analysis where we looked at 3 years of accident history. We looked at access management in the vicinity of the site frontage, as well as looking at the sight lines and available site distance of those site driveways and comparing them to industry standards. The study focused on the AM and PM peak hours of a weekday, which are the periods that correlate to the commuter travel and also represent periods that the site would also have higher levels of volume. The trip generation, again, looking back at those AM and PM peak periods, again, this table shows the previous evaluation, the current proposal, and the reduction of trips. These trip generation values are based on numbers that are from the Institute of Transportation Engineers, which is the industry standard for developing these trip rates. They are based on actual studies that are completed and counts that are made at similar developments to what is proposed. So each of the individual components of the study had a different rate applied to it based on what that component of the study was. So again, this just shows that the original study had 139 and 188 peak hour trips. With those reduction in the units, it goes down to 100 trips and 136. And a lot of times for this type of senior housing, people sometimes don't understand the level of traffic and they anticipate it to be a lot higher. Like I said, the rates are based on actual trips. I have been involved in studies where I've actually counted similar facilities that are local and compared to those ITE, that Institute of Transportation Engineers rates, and they are consistent with what happens. The Vista study, which is an apartment project being built on Curry Road, there was some data presented in that study to show that there's actually in this area, not just in Rotterdam and Saratoga County and other counties, because there is a lack of senior housing, there's some housing developments that are not being restricted that are actually they're finding that there's a lot of seniors and empty nesters that are utilizing those. So they're even showing that non-restrictive apartment type units are showing lesser rates. So these rates are actually what are anticipated. They do include at some of the facilities where there's employment and staff, and that's all brought into those numbers. And I kind of compare it to a non-restricted residential facility. You know, if you look at the average age of people, you could be people in their 20s all the way up to people in their 80s and 90s. So when you average that out, you're going to average yourself into a full-time, probably working class. When you average, when you're 55 is the beginning, and you go 55 to 80s and 90s, your average tends to be in the higher 60s, and that's part of why that number brings down, because in your 60s, you're not as much in that commuter flow of traffic. So again, those trips that I talked about, they're distributed onto the roadway network before we do our analysis. This just kind of gives you an idea of when we take those 100 trips in the morning and 136 trips, kind of what the maximum impact right on Helderberg Avenue would be. And what this shows is that distributed volume, the maximum in one direction on Helderberg Avenue in the morning is 28 vehicle trips in one direction. And in the afternoon, the maximum is about 38 trips. If you compare that, the Department of Transportation and that Institute of Transportation Engineers, again, the industry standard for traffic engineering, their kind of threshold for what we use to provide detailed analysis is 100 vehicle trips. And that's based on studies by both of these agencies that show that if you're not at that 100 trip threshold, then you're unlikely to need mitigation as part of your project. So if you look, we're more than half of what that threshold is. But again, we actually did a detailed study of 3 off-site intersections and an additional study of County Line Road. So we've gone again above, and that's where I referred to in the beginning, that our study is pretty comprehensive for the level of traffic that's generated. Another comparison, just to give you an idea, daily traffic volumes on Helderberg Avenue. I know that I've heard some feedback and some comments that people are concerned about the level of traffic on Helderberg Avenue. The level today is about 2,900 vehicles per day. That's the entire day. This site itself has about, once the site is there, one-way traffic volumes, or two-way, traffic volumes on Helderberg Avenue will be about 324 in the morning and 350 in the afternoon. If you take that 2,900 vehicles, that's what's there a day. If you look at arterial capacity, which is designated by the Capital District Transportation Committee, they say hourly volumes for two-lane arterial, which is what Helderberg Avenue is classified at, is about 2,600 vehicles. That's before you reach capacity. So we're at 324, and the capacity is about 26. The daily volumes on Helderberg Avenue are 2,900. So the hourly capacity is 2,600, and that's before, that's like what we call level service E, which is before you reach that capacity. So you're at 2,600 volume hourly, and the daily volume is 2,900. So that just kind of puts it into perspective to the level of volume. If you compare to like Gilliland Avenue, there's about 6,500 vehicles per day on that roadway. Curry Road is about 13 to 17,000. Altamont Avenue is about 21,000. So just to kind of put into perspective the actual level of traffic that's on Helderberg Avenue. So just a quick, the results of our study. And again, this was reviewed by the town designated engineer and agreed to. Our results, and we did respond to a few comments that they did have. Obviously, they have not reviewed the study that we just did today, but with the lesser volumes, there's lesser impact. So we do anticipate that they will be in agreement with that study. So there was no geometric improvements based on the results of that detailed analysis we did. We did recommend some coordination with the Department of Transportation up at the Curry Road signals, just because those are busy intersections. Again, not necessarily because of the Helderberg Avenue volume, but we all know Curry Road and Altamont Avenue are very busy roads. The site distance analysis, we did recommend some clearing of vegetation along the frontage. That's pretty standard recommendation. A lot of times if you're building, on the site, there's some vegetation, some of it's undeveloped. So in order to meet the guidelines, we did recommend that clearing, and that is all on the site property, so that's not on anybody else's property. The safety evaluation for the 3 years of data, we did not find any discernible accident patterns that were identified. There was actually no accidents that were recorded along the area of the site frontage. Again, we did that supplemental letter addressing county-line road volumes, which showed less than 10 cars an hour. Those peak hours would be on county line road. Again, I noted the town designated engineer reviewed and commented on the original study, and we provided responses back to them already. The study's been submitted to both the Department of Transportation, because the off-site intersections are all on DOT roadways, and also Schenectady County, because Helderberg Avenue is a county roadway. We have not heard formally back from those agencies. I did have a discussion with the Department of Transportation today, kind of review the study, and they are in progress reviewing that. And then again, we did the updated study, and that trip generation and the intersection evaluations were completed, and they show a reduced impact. The recommendations that were presented in the original study do actually stay the same.
Mr. Supervisor, are we allowed to ask any questions relative to each stage that they're moving through as they go through it?
I would ask you to address the questions, because otherwise we'll be here all night. Address the questions to the board, we'll get those answers back to you. That's my commitment to you, otherwise we'll be here too long.
I just have a question though on cars coming in and out in the morning.
We can provide that information for them. I mean, they can, what's going to happen is, I haven't asked if we could do that. Can we provide these PowerPoints? Absolutely. So we'll put the PowerPoints on the town website. And there were a couple of slides there to answer that question if you have it. Actually, so if you come up to ask a question, please ask the question, we'll get a more specific response for you. But those numbers were included on the
So we asked the board.
Yes, please, yeah, and then we'll combine, get a combination of all questions and answers, because I think some of them will be repetitive, for us too, but we'll get everything answered for you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lou Lisi, I'm the developer for the site. We had CTM engineers provide us with a visual assessment of the site, and this is the next presentation. If you look at this slide, you'll see we took 4 profile views of what you would see from the road and from Cipriana Terrace when you drive by the site on Hellenberger and you live by the hill on Cipriana Terrace. So you'll see profile 1 is a view looking to the parking lot, and this is profile 1. Now what this shows you, to the right you'll see the size of the structure that's being built, which is the 2- and 3-story structure. You'll see the middle, you'll see that is being built on the current driving range. To the left, you'll see the pine trees that currently exist that will stay on the ground that are not being removed. To the left, you'll see a retention basin, which is now pretty much the parking lot where the current golf course is. And to the left, you'll see where the dotted line meets the left margin. That's an individual standing there, either in a car or walking by, looking at the site. So if you see the elevation, you'll notice that the views of the buildings are blocked by the trees that currently exist. And that building is probably, I think it's 600 feet back from the road. So that's your visibility if you're walking or driving down Helderberg Highway going by the structure of the building itself. This is based on existing topos and existing elevation to keep it moving down the building. Profile 2 is the next entranceway as you drive down from currently down Helderberg Avenue. And this shows you the memory care pods that currently exist that will be built on the site, which are in 2 to 3 stories. Again, to the left, you'll see the peak. The dotted line represents the view of the individual walking or driving a car.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the other entranceway to the development. And again, that little brick gray area is the existing garage that currently exists at the golf course. So looking through over that garage, through the trees, you can see the peak of the roof, again, 600 or 700 feet back from the Helderberg Avenue. And it shows that the visibility that currently exists there is blocked by the existing vegetation and the trees that will stay on the site. We then went to profile 3. Profile 3 is the view from Cipriana Terrace. This would be the view, I believe, from the back of the Grant home, which has the water tower. And so now we're looking across the Matarazzo property and all the properties looking at the memory care and the assisted living, independent living. And all to the left would be a person sitting in the backyard or sitting on their deck of the Grant property looking straight across. And there's the trees that are not being removed, they're staying. And if you can see through the trees, then you'll be able to see the peak of the memory care building, which again is like 800 feet away. And this is the slide, this would be looking at this, this is profile 4, and I think this would be looking at the end of Cipriani. This would be the Grant house or the house next to Grant. I think that's the Esposito house. So if you're sitting on your deck in the back of your home looking out, all the way to the right is the golf course. You see a few pine trees, that's the existing golf course. Those peaks are the peaks of the cottages. But again, you have to look through the trees because that's about 300 feet away from those homes. And those trees and all the woods that exist are not being removed. So that's your view looking from Cipriana Terrace to the site. So those are 4 views, visual views done by CT Mail for the site as well. We have another study being done which confirms the values of properties that exist around the senior citizen project. Those are not completed, they will be submitted before the next meeting, which shows values of homes that surround the property.
I'd like to know what it's gonna look like from Kent Road. Live on Kent Road. Do a study for that?
Can I, are you going to be speaking?
No.
No, okay, I'll write that down, we'll address that, we'll have a look at that. You want to know if there was a site analysis from Gates Road. Okay, thank you, so let's begin with public hearing number 1, Ms. Marco.
To create a new zoning classification of Chapter 270 zoning, Article 31, entitled Senior Living District. Jack Dotson.
Hi there, how you doing? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it this way. You don't mind, do you?
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay. As long as I can read. Goodness. Thank you, thank you. Again, my name is Jack Dotson. I live at 1311 Cipriano Terrace. I'd like to make a statement in opposition from this local law, which I understand is local law number 2 of 2017. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. This local law that I'm commenting on is the local law that is, I'm going to say, 2 weeks old. Has there been any revisions that?
There's a revision that is on tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Paul? Okay, go ahead.
I'll run down through it. Again, I'll make a general statement. Is this local law tailored specifically for the Whispering Pines development? And I think Mr. Supervisor announced tonight that these are commingled. So yes, indeed it is. My question is why is it not generic? Why does the comprehensive zoning plan not address a senior living district first and identify areas within the town that are conducive for such a facility instead of this specific development? I mean, it's hard for me to, it's like the cart before the horse. We got a developer that came into town and he made a proposal for something, so now we're designing a local law for him for a senior living district. Does not seem correct to me. Getting into the actual local law, Section 2, Paragraph 3E. I don't know if you guys have them open, but I'm just going to run down through it. That paragraph says, we're going to create an efficient use of land and services resulting in smaller networks of utilities and streets, thereby lowering housing and assisted living costs for seniors. I'm looking at this project, it's got 95 acres. The road work and utilities in here are unbelievable. You need a lot of units to pay for all this site work. I think this is a false statement for this proposed project on 96 acres. There are extensive roads and utilities. I just don't know how they save money to seniors. I guess you need more units to get it. Section 2B, definitions. It's good that you have definitions in here because you're proposing this senior living district. If it does get used in the town, you got to have some Bible to go back to in order to make sure that developers are kept in line. The clubhouse is open to the general public. I presume open for banquets. It's a size up to 10,000 square feet. 10,000 square feet. That's a big clubhouse. The daycare facility. It's got that's Section 2, child daycare. Open to the public. Again, it's a commingling of young children, and anyone that knows who has young children and went to, elementary school, they tend to be germy. If you send your kids to school in September, you can expect within 2 to 3 weeks you're going to have a cold or something. It's just the nature of having young children. You put young children in a daycare, commingled with seniors with compromised immune systems, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Okay? But unless this has been revised again, that's what's in there. That's the definition. There's a fitness center. It's open to the general public. Will this facility compete with the local fitness centers in the town and or the YMCA? There's a medical equipment sales, open to the general public. There's medical professional offices, open to the general public. Outpatient services, open to the general public. Now, keep in mind that I did just hear tonight that, hey, we're going to remove the emergent care. I did not hear and I have not seen from the development, okay, if they're still going to have medical facilities in there.
No.
The local law, however, could still have a senior living district that allows this use, okay? Now, if the town decides that, hey, we're going to kind of parallel what Leslie's doing with the development, and we're going to create now a senior living district that's exactly what the Leslie's have changed the project to, I guess that's an option that the town could do, but the local law as proposed did include that. It included a pharmacy that's open to the public, recreation and nature trails that are open to the public. It has a comment in there on retail uses. There's limitations on cafeterias, food establishments that say that retail should not include any establishment devoted primarily to the sale of merchandise to the general public. So it shall not include any establishments devoted primarily to the sale of merchandise. My comment is who's enforcing this? You know, they have a restaurant in there, I don't know, you have a Starbucks in there, and the people within the facility get to go there. My daughter will go there anytime, okay? So is someone gonna log the fact that my daughter was at their facility, and now we know someone from the general public's been there? Very difficult to do. And how would that change over time? How are you gonna prevent that change over time? Again, the urgent care, if it's still in here, it's open to the public. To me, again, this is a commercial enterprise in a residential neighborhood. Section 2C, permitted uses. What are the permitted use in the senior living district? There's utility structures and facilities including solar panels. I gotta ask myself again, geez, I started out with a senior living district, now we're morphing into a solar panel potential farm because we have 95 acres here. I heard that we gotta have 40% open space. I gotta ask, are they for solar panels or are they for open space? There's a bus shelter. You know, we're gonna get CDTA running down Healthburg Avenue, and we just heard from the traffic study, minimal increase in traffic, but we're gonna have a CDTA bus come down through there because we're gonna be on the route. There's entranceways and gateways. There's cafeterias and food service providers. There's daycare facilities. There's a fitness center. There's gathering and sitting areas. There's medical equipment sales. No more going on the internet and buying your medical equipment. You can get it at Healthburg Avenue, right at West Spring Pines. A medical library. Medical libraries are good. I advocate libraries. There's medical professional offices. There was the parking garage and loading areas. Now, I know I heard in the presentation tonight, geez, we got rid of that. We don't need that anymore. It's going to be outside parking now. We did not hear that. It's going from 600 parking spots to something else, but that'll come out. And then again, there's the recreation, nature, exercise trails, permitted signs. We can expect some signs on Healthburg Avenue. And then my favorite at the end is there's structures and use customarily accessory to residential and or senior living facilities subject to site plan approval by the planning board. Yes, that's pretty open-ended. If we don't have in there what we need, we can get it in there. That's that statement, open-ended. Section 2D, development regulations. There's a bulk regulation in here that says the maximum number of senior living units is 680. That was pretty close to this project before they decided to downsize it. My question to the town board is this just an arbitrary number? Who came up with this number? Is it a meaningful number? Because why would it be in the local law, okay, if there's nothing to back that number up? Then, of course, there was the maximum building height that's limited to 60 feet. However, no mention of the maximum building square footage. So as we saw in the presentation tonight, geez, they're gonna downsize this. We're gonna get rid of the parking garage. Oh, that's great. We're gonna not have a 4-story building. Oh, geez, I was accused of going around the neighborhood saying there was a 4-story building. Never did that. I said there's a 3-story building with a parking garage underneath it. That was my comment, okay? And it's my understanding even with the revised proposal, it's still gonna be a 3-story structure. I believe that the town board should have some sort of maximum limitations on buildings of that size. Section 2E, development criteria. The development criteria that's in the local law is very specific to this project. My question is why is it not generic? Section 2F, development area. Same thing, it's very specific to this project to the point where the local law has exhibits in it, A and B, C, whatever they all go back to this project. I mean, I'm puzzled. Why am I looking at a local law that's supposed to be for areas within the town and everything in this local law is specific to this project? And I will acknowledge that at one point in time I said, hey, the developer wrote this thing. And quickly the town did have their professional people look it over and of course try to tighten it up a little bit. But it's still loose. You can drive a tractor trailer down through this local law. Senior living facilities, again, building height 60 feet, no square footage, it's open-ended, that's D. The golf course building height for the clubhouse is 40 feet, okay, that's what's proposed. That seems kind of high for me for a clubhouse. I would say again that the clubhouse is going to become a 10,000 square foot banquet facility to me, which is commercial. I've been to a lot of good banquets at clubhouses, at golf courses, had great times. The number of people that go to these things are 100, 150 cars, 200, okay? They're all coming down, however, again, okay? Utilities, water and sewer. This is my favorite topic. Water and sewer facilities and utilities. You know, in here, there's a conversation somewhat of dedicating facilities to the town. And my question to the town again is, why would the town have blanket dedication provisions without details? You know, we've worked with developers before that do these projects, and then they want to turn these facilities over to the town because they don't want to have to maintain them. And, you know, this locks the town into owning facilities that they may not want. You know, dedications, you have to be careful with them. You know, I know there's a provision in the Whispering Pines is to bring sewer across the thruway, Carmen Road through the circle to Hamburg Street. And my comment to the board would be just that, is who's taking ownership of the pipelines under the thruway? You know, most of the time the thruway authority says the municipality is going to. Well, pipes under thruways are very expensive, especially if they leak. And then of course you're going to go down Carmen to the Hamburg Circle. Who owns that? I'm aware of the Hamburg Sewer District, and it's my understanding that people on Hamburg Street have the ability to get sewer. Did the town investigate any of the side streets that might come into a sewer district? To the best of my knowledge, no. So we're going to have all these, what I would call transmission mains for sewer, with no ability to hook to them. So the developer, that's great for the developer. He turns it over to the town, no one else can hook into it, and he conveys sewage or water in a transmission main that we don't get to use. I don't think that's smart. Why does the town need an easement to maintain facilities on private property? Okay, so again, in this local law, the town has the ability to go in under an emergency, okay? My water service leaks on my property. I call that an emergency. I want the town to come and fix it. When I call the town, you know what they say to me? Hey, Mr. Dodson, you know, there's a curb box that's in your lawn. We own from the curb box to the street. You, Mr. Dodson, own from the curb box into your house. You find someone to fix it, okay? I don't like that. Why would the town take ownership of facilities on private property? It's only going to come at taxpayers' expense. Again, the stormwater management, I know this is an HOA, okay? Long-term maintenance agreement with the town for operation and maintenance facilities. You know, again, I understand if there's stormwater regulations, the town might be an MS4, you know, they want to have a good handle on stormwater. But I look at this again as the town, a developer comes in, he builds these facilities, and then the town, he enters into an agreement that hasn't been negotiated. We do not know what the cost would be, okay? back to the town for the town to use town personnel to go there to work on a stormwater issue that is at a development. Again, not proven. Open-ended and likely be at the taxpayer's expense. In conclusion, I'm just going to give you a couple general observations, again, that I have on this local law. Is this local law is targeted specifically for the Whispering Pines development and is not generic for a senior living district. This local law is a mix of many zoning classifications that normally would be prohibitive under the current zoning regulations. It is intended to circumvent the town zoning regulations that have been tried and tested over many decades, because the town needs to have a Bible to prevent developers from coming in and doing whatever they feel like doing.
Amen.
Definitions are way too open. And then I would say again, especially for the original plan for Whispering Pines, is why not call this local law a medical arts complex first, an institutional facility second, a golf course and recreation third, and most importantly, lastly, we're going to call it senior housing. Senior housing last. Last but not least, is I say you're creating a Frankenstein zoning classification with little control and open-ended provisions for profit under the guise of senior living. That is ridiculous. Do not do that. I urge the town board to vote no to local law number 2, senior living district, as currently proposed, because it needs a lot more work. Thank you for your consideration and time.
My name is Melvin Mintz, and I reside on Helderberg Avenue. Can you hear me? You can. I'd like to thank the board for this opportunity to speak. I am not as sophisticated as this last speaker. I don't have all these details. I'd like to thank some of the board members that I've been in contact with in voicing my opinion. I look at the area as a primarily residential community. Helderberg Avenue from Curry Road to County Line. I live on the corner of County Line and Helderberg Avenue, and I see the traffic. Some of the concerns, I'm not sure in the traffic study, took into consideration people working in the complex. You're only looking at living conditions and 55-year-olds or older going in and out. I also look at the commercial aspect of this whole project and the zoning. And I am a businessman, and I believe in the entrepreneurial and the business world to expand and do business, but not at the expense of people in the area necessarily. Now I'm asking the town board to look into the town of Rotterdam in its entirety and to see if there's areas for this kind of a complex that you could put in, not necessarily senior housing. I'm not against the 55-year-old senior apartments and such, even in the residential area. But I am against some of the medical aspects of this project. I am also against, which I'm normally not, on any of the commercial aspects of the 3 restaurants that, however small, and the pool. Open to the general public of Rotterdam residents, it sounds very good, of 55 years and older. And it's very nice. I'm not afraid to say that I'm 81 and a half years old standing before you. So I'm far beyond the age bracket of 55. I am asking the town board to look into this for the benefit of the entire Rotterdam community. We have other senior living in Schenectady County. Schenectady County, I will say, is the second smallest, if not the smallest county in the state of New York. You can travel from one end to the other maybe in 15 minutes or so. You can get to many areas for 55-year-olds. We want to get young people into Rotterdam. We want the housing to be maintained and the tax base to be maintained. We're not looking because lately the seniors have gotten older in the town. But it takes time for things to change. I'd like you again, I repeat myself, to look at areas within the town that maybe a project, or certain aspects of this project can be developed. I think that's your responsibility. You're elected to look at other things. I have started at 3 o'clock this afternoon for people to sign who are against the project in general. I am asking you, town board, to look further into this thing and not rubber stamp it so easily. I am not against the people that are proposing this. I am happy to see that they made certain changes. They were positive changes, and they're looking at it rightfully so. But what happens 2 years down the road once you've made a zoning change and you've made this commercial, allowing commercial into the property? All well-meaning right now while they're here, all well-meaning to develop it as we see it presented. But 2 years down the road, they have to look at the economics of things. And as business people, you have to look what you have to expand or change. And well-intentioned as it is right now, you've opened the door to commercial in a residential area, which is unnecessary and wrong. Thank you.
Amy Mudweiler?
Quite honestly, I might be mixed up between my proposal 1 and 2, so if I cross the line, I apologize up front.
Speak your voice.
In 30 years, I'm a clinical nurse specialist in gerontology. I've worked with people that have inabilities, not abilities. I don't wish ALS upon you, Parkinson's, or any other condition that would limit what you can do. Where you can't get to a restaurant because it's not handicap accessible. Where you can't go into a bathroom because it doesn't accommodate you. Where you can't go to a store and buy something or on the internet and purchase anything because you have an inability. I work somewhere that I've worked for over 20-something years. I've gone through New York State and seen assisted living, memory care, and nursing homes. I have never seen a flood of traffic at any of these places. And I would be very happy in my day to see traffic backed up, to see the wise people that created the town of Rotterdam to visit them. I work in a community that was a mill town, and it supports 192 beds, facility that houses the teachers, the dentists, the doctors that worked in their community, that bring children into the community, that bring light to people that don't get to see the outside world sometimes. So where do you put a place like this? Where is the best place to put? In your home. I took care of a 102-year-old grandmother that had her mind until the 4 days before she died. 102 grandfather-in-law. I put a lift in my house for my father-in-law who took care of for 44 years. Because we didn't want to put him into a facility because he was a young man. So where do people go that have inabilities if you don't want them in your community? They have to drive like me 25 minutes to work every day because I love taking care of disabled people. If we don't allow them to live in our community, how do they get visitors? How do the elderly people that have dementia and Alzheimer's take care of them that are up 20 hours a day? These are people that made Rotterdam. These are our teachers that taught me here at Mohonasen to go on to be a nurse for 30 years. I don't know where you put a place like this. I don't know if it'll ever be a good place, but I can tell you, traffic-wise, I've never seen a backup. And the people that work at these facilities don't make a huge buck. We do it because we have a heart. Excuse me, I was very polite when other people spoke. I signed up, I waited my turn.
Yes, we do, by the way.
And I'm sorry, what was your question?
Don't engage, because then we lose control.
You don't drive
I want to hear that.
I do drive every day on Hildeberg Avenue. I watch Curry Road have adult living there. I don't see that much more traffic because of that. I don't see an influx.
Please let's keep the, so that we can make sure that we get the correct information to everyone. Please let's keep the.
I respect the people that live by that facility, but I do believe that you have to educate yourself, see the pictures, see if there is enough barrier to help let this settle in. It's kind of like when mental health moved out to the community, nobody wanted people. If you live by Five Corners, there's many places that house people with disabilities, and they don't disrupt the community or the neighborhood. Thank you.
So at this, excuse me, can we please keep order? Please, please. So there's no one else right now for public hearing 1, but we are not going to close, well, I shouldn't say that, we'll just go back to this. We can hold it open, because what we'll do is we're going to call for another public hearing for next meeting anyway. So we'll leave it open. And so I'm going to just tell you that we're not going to close the public hearing. The public hearing will continue. Mr. Johnson, I really don't want to engage like this, but go ahead.
Just a quick question. Just wondering again, are you going to post the whatever?
Yes. It should already be on the town website.
I mean, I checked tonight, and this agenda and stuff, to see
Yeah.
if the actual local law would be in. Very good about putting documentation in your minutes and stuff. That was not included in this one.
It should be there. It should be there. That's all I can say to you at this point. And more importantly, we'll have the presentations that we're put up here on the town website as well within the next day or two. So I think we've been very transparent. I understand that there are emotions all over the place here. But let's just keep our comments, please, if you don't mind, to the board if you come up to speak. And then if you would like to wait until after the meeting, after we go through our agenda and actually go through our resolutions, if you'd like to wait and speak to us individually, please do so. Most of us don't run away after the end of the meeting, and it's kind of hard for us to get to the door at this point. So. I'm just joking when you say that. Okay, let's go on to public hearing number 2.
To allow for change of zone request from Lessee Senior Living LLC for property located in Rotterdam, New York, 12306, known as tax map numbers 71.5-1-5.112, 2188 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-7.1, 2196 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-5.111, 2200 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-9, 2204 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-8.111, no address, 71-5-1-8.112, 2208 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-10.21, 2210 or 2212 Helderberg Avenue, and 71.9-2-21.11 Browns Farm. The applicant is requesting a change of zone from agricultural A1 to Senior Living District SLD for a project to be known as the Whispering Pines Senior Living Community. The proposal is to generally consist of a senior living community with a mix of housing types, including independent living, single-family, detached, and town homes, independent living apartment units, assisted living units, and memory care living units, along with a senior services center, a 9-hole executive golf course, a medical office, urgent care facility, and associated parking, roadway, multi-use paths, and other improvements, all to be constructed on 96.5 acres east of Helderberg Avenue and west of the New York State Thruway I-90. Amy, I wasn't sure, Amy, did you want to come up again for this part? No, you're good. Cheryl Provost. You gotta go closer.
I agree with a lot of what Mr. Dotson has already said. I'm not going to go over every single bit of it. I think the zoning change the law needs to be tightened up quite a bit before any changes are made. Until that happens, I don't agree with the project. Thank you.
Dale Pierce?
Good evening, my name is Del Pierce. I live at 2253 Getz Road. I've actually lived there for 40 years. My statement tonight is addressed to Mr. Supervisor and the board members. I'm here this evening to voice my opposition to the village at Whispering Pines for the following reasons. It's an example of spot zoning. This area being proposed is zoned residential and agriculture. There's no way to connect these two extremely disparate land uses. This commercial unit usage would ruin the sense of neighborhood that we have built up over decades. This neighborhood on the south side of the thruway has never had sewers, parks, or other amenities that are present in other neighborhoods, yet we pay the same taxes. The traffic. Helderberg Avenue and its extension onto into Gilliland, where it's called Churches Road, is very narrow, lacking sidewalks and even shoulders in many places. Adding hundreds of passenger and commercial vehicles to this road is irresponsible and puts the lives of pedestrians and bicycle riders in jeopardy. In particular, I'm very concerned about the school children. Many school children walk this road to and from classes and extracurricular activities. The cross-country kids actually run on Helderberg Avenue. This big increase in traffic, both during and after construction, puts their very lives in danger. Citing the Leachy Group paper that was distributed at the Malosi's meeting on May 1st, the project could be in the construction phase for 3 to 5 years based on demand. Big construction vehicles have long stopping distances and are not very maneuverable. Next, I'd like to address the extra services that would be required by this project. There will be a need for extra police coverage, adding to a public safety budget, which already threatens to break the bank in this town. Also, there will be more stress on our volunteer fire department, currently struggling to meet staffing needs as older members drop out. The water and sewage system. All these living units, a pool and a spa, a golf course, dining facilities, and maintained outdoor spaces will put a real strain on our water and sewage infrastructure. In fact, there are currently no sewers in our neighborhood. Who will pay for connection to existing sewer and for the pumping of the sewage? Will our current wastewater plant handle this additional strain? Will new, larger water pipes have to be routed to this neighborhood? And who will pay for all of that? In summation, I would like to say, this is a square peg trying to be put in a round hole. It doesn't belong here, and I would urge the board to vote against. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Patricia.
Oh, I'm sorry, Patricia.
My name is Patricia Delaney, I live at 117 Fisher Road. 60 years ago, my parents purchased their home where they are. I'm nervous, as you can see. I lived there for 51 of my life. I love this area. Doing what you're doing is wrong. We don't need to have an assisted living area. I'm sorry to say it that way, but we don't. You want the homes? Fine. I can understand. But you saying there's not going to be increased traffic? Yes, there is. I walk my dog every day. And my life is on the line. Every day I walk my dog. I can't tell you how many times I've been hit. And it's gonna be increased traffic? Yes. It's gonna be a strain on us out there? Yes. I work for this district. I watched when they made this building and our building where I work. You said the construction vehicles, unbelievable. And they were doing it for a year. And there were a lot of construction vehicles going up and down the street, Helderberg. And it did wear and tear. Helderberg Avenue, our road stinks. There's not enough room. And by doing what you're doing, you're not helping. I can't say much more than that. I just think that's wrong, and I think that you should vote no on any part of this. Thank you.
My name is Nick Esposito. I'm at 1318 Cipriano Terrace. Actually, Diane, I'm going to reserve this for the next meeting. Mine's more about the HOA and the responsibility of the HOA to the town, and a different cost that people will find out can pop up later, a couple of years down the road, if there is enough funding for the HOA. But I'm going to reserve that for the next meeting. Thank you.
Leslie Robbins.
Hello, my name is Leslie Robbins. I live at 2052 Rosedale Way in the town of Guilderland in Rosedale Meadows development. And so my questions to the board or comments pertain to how the village will impact Rosedale Meadows. First, we are concerned about the increased traffic ourselves. The intersection of Carmen Road and West Livius is very dangerous already at this point. I don't know what the number of accidents are, but I know it's high. And we wonder if there's been a intersection evaluation done there. Originally, when I read the proposal online, I think I saw that there was an entrance off of Fort Hunter, which is in our development. And now I see that there's two entrances, so maybe it appears that that's been altered so that Fort Hunter won't be an access road to the villages.
No, 400.
All right, that's very good to know. We wonder about a buffer between the two boundaries, because the villages will be adjacent to our property. So we're concerned about a buffer between it'll be the single-family homes, I think, that will be located there. A buffer for privacy as well as for noise. And then just another question that we have. Currently, on Brown's Farm, which I know is noted as 71.9-2-21-11, currently, landscapers are allowed to dump their brush on Brown's Farm, and their access is on Fort Hunter Road. So we wonder if, since this land is being sold, it will no longer be zoned agricultural, will that still be allowed? It is a problem for our neighborhood. That would be the silver lining if there is one. Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Jack Shealy.
Jack Shealy, 99 Stacy Crest Drive. I've lived here in this neighborhood for over 40 years. I built 2 homes in Colonial Manor. One when the original Colonial Manor was being built, and lately the new section of Colonial Manor. So I do use Helderberg Avenue every day, and I don't see it going to be a major problem for the traffic. One of the things is that a lot of us don't realize that I lost my spouse 9 years ago. And my life's been hell since that, to try to get around places and get transportation and so forth. This past year I had a knee replacement and I had to get transportation from different outlets, private people, so forth. And I take dialysis 3 days a week. And it's not unusual to sit there for an hour and a half after you come out of the dialysis until they come to pick you up. So a situation like this, where we'd be right on campus here, have other people in the same territory as you, have friends there, I'm looking forward to maybe building one of these small homes so that I can be part of, still safe, part of the community here. I love Rotterdam very much. Raised my 3 kids here, and intend to stay here. So please, town board, support this project.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lisa Dufak, and I live at 148 Putnam Road in Rotterdam. I have been a resident of the town of Rotterdam for the last 48 years, and I chose to raise my family in the town of Rotterdam, as surely you did too, for many reasons. The most important of which was the neighborhood character of the town. Now, with grown children, I've had an opportunity to give back to the community that has always supported us. Through my volunteering in the Shawnee Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary, Tri-County Challengers Baseball League, and Rotterdam's Parks Commission, I've done everything I could personally do to preserve that character for the next generation of residents, except one thing: run for Rotterdam Town Board. However, change is necessary and is always on the horizon. Towns that do not allow development die. If a town does not allow new services to come in to satisfy its citizens, employ its residents, or offset taxes on its homeowners, people will move elsewhere. Smart development is a necessity, but development without balancing our neighborhood character can be fatal. Surely all of you have seen a dramatic change in the town over the last 5 years. Several large projects have been proposed, and most have advanced through a mechanism called spot zoning. Spot zoning is where you single out a piece of property for development that does not share the same character with the surrounding properties. Assuredly, you heard of the Draper School project. I agree the building was an eyesore and should have been torn down years ago. However, what now will become of it? The surrounding neighborhood consists of single-family and two-family residences. Will the addition of more than 100 apartments in one building change the character of the neighborhood? Absolutely. Reduction of green space and increased traffic always changes the neighborhood. What about the apartment complex that was being proposed on the corner of Peter Road and Highbridge Road that the neighbors banned against? They rightfully knew that the addition of a project surrounded by single-family residences was not in their interest and would change their neighborhood forever. Tonight, we are considering a far larger project, one on a scale that has not been duplicated in the town of Rotterdam. Just less than half the size of Crossgates Mall, with more than 521 living units and hundreds of employees being proposed. Surely something of this magnitude is being proposed next to a major thoroughfare in a commercial district. Nope. Is it being set out in Western Rotterdam, an area prospectively getting infrastructure upgrades in the near future? And where there are large tracts of land are ripe for development? No. It's being wedged in on agricultural land being used as a golf course, behind housing off of a small and congested roads. Surely others will talk tonight about the negatives of the project. Current size and location, such as traffic, pedestrian safety, height of the primary building, among other things. But I'd like to take a completely different approach and suggest how this project could ultimately be beneficial. This project could be awesome for the town. I love the idea of aging in place and providing these much-needed services for the elderly. There is obviously demand, but aren't there better locations for this? Consider for a moment any place west beyond Burdick Street. You have access to I-88, the thruway, Route 7, 890, nearby Route 20. The area is already commercialized, but also has undeveloped space. The town board is working together and actively pushing for sewers and other infrastructure improvements in the area. This senior living project has the capacity to change the character of its surroundings. Let's use that power for the good. I can see the development surrounded by walkable retail, services, restaurants, and more. This project with its employees, cottage, apartment, and townhouse residents can help support a new main street in town, but not where it is currently landlocked. The best aspect of the project, the ability to promote new development around it, would be wasted. Town board members, please consider the wants and desires of your residents. Vote no on this project in its current state and work with the developer to find suitable alternative locations where all of the benefits of this project can be fully realized by the town. Ladies and gentlemen, assuming the board listens to your concerns and votes no, that is not the end of the threat to your neighborhood. It's only a pause. Being an election year, this project could be resubmitted to the newly formed town board in January. When, not if, this project comes back, you will want your voice to still be heard. You will want people like me sitting up there, listening and preserving our town's character. Please consider me, Lisa Dufak, in November when you vote, in order to keep Rotterdam a nice place to live. Thank you.
Melvin Mitz, did you want to speak again or not?
No.
I always like this.
Okay.
The board again for tolerating me, and I have all your cell numbers.
Use the microphone.
You can't hear me, huh?
No. Well, I
I'm
can
sorry,
hear you,
it
but
doesn't
it's
fit in
not.
there. I'd like to thank the last speaker very much. I sort of alluded to the fact that there are other areas in the town without doing the research. The speakers before you have come very eloquently with a tremendous amount of research, and I'd like you to think of the overview. Being a businessman, I can understand, and I know I'm repetitive telling you who the hell I am, and I'm sorry for tolerating me like you had a choice. I can understand the owner of the golf course here on Helderberg Avenue and wanting to do something with the property. I don't know the circumstances of the owner and the developer in this case, and I think they're all meaning well. I don't think the people in the town of Rotterdam in this area of this development would be against normal housing, regular housing, some type of just housing in itself, without any commercial development of any type on the property. I believe that we have some beautiful homes in this area. I wish my home was worth the $500,000 or $750,000 homes that are in this particular area of Helderberg Avenue. And there are a number of homes I feel that are worth that kind of value. I think the property values in this part of the town will start to go down. I respect the people who spoke today who have physical problems, but again I reiterate that the distance to travel within the town for getting the county to facilitate for this gentleman here, there are areas that we can still build something to help the 55 and older and the handicapped or whatever. I understand the lovely lady who spoke here earlier and the field that she was in, but you have to realize that the last speaker just before me was talking about the ambiance and the beauty of certain areas of the town of Rotterdam, a nice place to live. And that's what you want to maintain. Areas that still maintain that do not all of a sudden become commercialized indirectly because of a decision under the guise of a beautiful thing to help me at my age if I became a little handicapped, that'll be right near where I happen to live today. No, I'd like you to seriously take a look at the town as a whole. Again, I repeat myself, to look at the other areas and the developer to give the opportunity to look at the other areas. Again, I don't know the owner of the golf course. I can feel for him or her if they're having some financial difficulty, they have an opportunity to sell this property or be a partner in this property and in the development, which has economic benefits. But I think you have to look at the community as a whole. That's your job. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Roberta Fox. I live at 121 Fort Hunter Road in the town of Gilberlin. I'm also part of the Rosedale Meadows community. You indicated that some of the area was going to remain by the reduction in the households agricultural, and I'm concerned about the access off Fort Hunter Road. It's bad now, and if there's access for the agricultural, there'll be access for the rest of the people, and it cannot afford it. So, thank you.
Folks, for those of you that may be standing around, there are chairs here available if you'd like to sit down now. Please help yourself or avail yourself.
Testing. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good morning, summer.
My name is Joe Matarazzo. I live at 2216 Helderberg Avenue, and I will be directly affected by this project. My property is boundary to the first, second, and third hole of the golf course. I moved here about 10 years ago, and I lived on a pretty busy road in Rotterdam. I moved here to get away from that road. Number one, the garbage that used to be left on that lawn. Number two, the traffic. I have concerns about this project. I know that I'm going to be affected directly, and I know that my property value is going to go down. I know that when I look out my backyard right now and I don't see nothing, I want to see houses. With that being said, there's going to be lighting that's going to directly affect me. It's going to be traffic that directly affects me. I got a road that's going to run right alongside my property. And if you don't think that affects me, it does. And I'm probably speaking for a number of people in here. And there are total I want this meeting to be all about me. It has to be all about me. If this project goes through, I lose. And so I ask the town and the people here to definitely reject this project. Thank you, and good night.
hours away from Mr. Vincent. I moved out there about 40 years ago. He was already there. Because it's a rural section, I wanted to live in a rural part of town. I've seen the traffic increase because they've added Cipriano, Ryan Court, Netherlands, and that town, this part of the town has grown. But I think it's grown to the edge of its seams. I took a drive around today and did a car count. I'm not going to go through all this stuff. I did a house count. You're going to more than double the number of houses in all the communities on Helberg and off Helberg, with the exception of, I didn't count Colonial Manor because it's just too big. But there's a lot of traffic on that road. My kids used to walk to school. Today, these kids can't, they'll get killed. There's no place to walk on that road. Yes, there is a need for a community like that, and I'm actually the target market for that. I'm that age group. I'd like to have a place like that. It sounds pretty good to me. But the Burdick Street idea sounds really good. It's a street that doesn't have residences along it, like Helberg Avenue does. The traffic, the answers we're getting on traffic just don't add up to me. A lot of those people, just because it's a 55 community, doesn't mean everybody's retired. People are still working at 55, 65, even 70 today. And if they're taking the thruway, they're going to be going right past my house, right through Guilderland to catch the thruway at that intersection of Lydia Street and 146. That intersection right now, you might sit through 2 turns of the traffic light right now. You might as well count on 4 or 5 turns. We haven't seen the traffic increase on Curry Road from the community that you're building where the Trustco Bank was. There's quite a few housing units going there. That's going to increase traffic on Curry Road. You almost need a traffic circle at the corner of Helberg and Curry Road. There's just too much traffic there. I feel bad for the people that live closer to that, the people by Dunkin' Donuts. You know, all these people are going to be stopping at that donut shop. It's a great place for a donut shop. That's going to add to this traffic. I just think this is a bad idea. I think it's a good idea. I just think it's in the wrong place. And I would just like to ask the board to, if I could table from the floor, I would. I grabbed this Robert's Rules of Order to see if I could pull it off. And I don't think you guys are going to fall for it. But I'd like to ask one of you to table this thing. I think we're being a little hasty with it. We need a lot more review on a lot of the things, just a couple of notes that I have here. You know, the traffic really bothers me. They came up with very specific numbers, but nobody really knows what the traffic is today on Helberg Avenue. I haven't seen any counters on the road. What about delivery trucks? If you're going to have a hospital there, you're going to have delivery trucks coming in through Helberg Avenue. You're going to have cars coming in all 3 shifts. It's a 3-shift operation. At nighttime, it won't bother me. I'm sleeping. But during the day, there's kids that live across the street from me. There's 6 little kids in 3 different houses. If I had little kids today, I'd be a little scared of it. Excuse me for a second. I've been jotting while everybody else was talking, because some people had my answers. You know, but like, have we done an impact study on not only the traffic, but how about the water supply? Is the water tower by the golf course going to be enough to supply another 600 daily living units? How about sewer needs? Water table impact? Are we going to raise the water table? That's what happened when they put. That's what happened when they put the apartments on the other side where White Birch used to be. There was trouble. And people's cellars in their backyards were caving in. We could have that same situation over here, and nobody's addressed that at these meetings that I've heard. I don't even know what the zone is. Is it going to be a B2 zone? A B2 zone opens the door for all kinds of things if this doesn't go through. There's just so many questions that need answering. I appreciate the fact that you're giving us this opportunity to speak. But I really think a lot more needs to be looked into before we choose Public Avenue as a site for this. There's just not enough room for that many more cars than we have right now. Numbers that she was throwing out, 120 cars per hour, that's what it equates to, 2,900 cars she's saying today. That equates to 129, that's 120 cars per hour today before the increase. If it's a 10-hour day, you don't count the middle of the night, you can jack that number up to 290 cars an hour. Who wants to live on that street? I wanted to live out in the rural community, and you're turning it into a city. It's not a city, it's a town. It's the town of Rotterdam. It is a good place to live, and please, table this thing, give it some more thought, find a new place for it. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Shelley Dodson. I reside at 1311 Sabrina Terrace. I have in my notes that I prepared this afternoon, of course, coming to the meeting, there's been a bunch of changes, but I pretty much still stand by this, even though the numbers might have fluctuated a little bit, but it doesn't really change my opinion. We lived in our home for 15 years. When searching for a home, we chose this location because it was away from the hustle and bustle of Altamont Ave and Curry Road. It's quiet and it's a nice place to live. I believe the residents in the surrounding area feel the same. I'm disgusted with the lack of transparency by the town of Rotterdam and the developer, the Leslie Group, with regards to the senior housing complex at Whispering Pines Golf Course. I found out about this project from a post on Facebook in March of this year. I was shocked that I had not heard of anything about this project. It's being pushed as senior housing, and it sounds innocent. Who doesn't want housing for seniors? But this project's anything but innocent. The developer is being deceitful to the residents of Rotterdam and the board. I highly doubt he would want this massive complex in his backyard. I doubt he truly cares about the seniors or as much as he cares about the residents that live around this area, because he's a developer and he wants to make money. I don't know why the town of Rotterdam Board and Planning Board would consider putting a complex of this size at Whispering Pines Golf Course. The only other complex that is this size in Rotterdam is Golub. This project is a commercial project and should be in a commercially zoned area. I don't buy into the false statements that there will be no impact to the neighborhood. I'm a runner. It's dangerous enough running on Helderberg Ave as it is now. There's no shoulders, there's people that speed. I have 3 children. They like to ride their bike, they walk to Dunkin' Donuts, as well as all the other residents' children that like to walk to school safely. This massive complex will have at least 250 employees, and I don't know, there's been so many number changes today, 1,000 to 1,500 new residents that's living there, and as was stated, you know, everyone at 55 doesn't get to retire. Some of us have to work until we're older. But I don't know how in anyone's mind, in right mind, you can think that there will not be an impact with this traffic increase. Anyone who travels to the thruway on Church and Lydia's knows how the traffic backs up. You can sit there for 2 to 3 light changes as it is now. So I'm all for senior housing. I'm all for assisted living for people like this gentleman that need the help. I think that this project, this mammoth project that they want to put in Whispering Pines neighborhood just doesn't belong there. So I urge the town Rotterdam Board to vote no for the zoning changes to allow this massive complex at Whispering Pines Golf Course. And if they don't, they should not be reelected, and I'll be campaigning for their opponents.
Tony West or Tom? I'm sorry, I can't read the writing. Tom West. Tom, sorry.
I think we got reversed it.
Thank you.
Supervisor and members of the town board, thank you for the opportunity to present to you this evening. My name is Tom West. I'm from the West Firm in Albany. I've been practicing project development law under the State Environmental Quality Review Act and various zoning codes throughout the state for almost 40 years. So I hope to talk to you about some of the procedures that I think are required to follow for this project and how that will lead to full transparency for these members of the public who have been denied that right thus far. We represent Jack Dodson, Nick Esposito, Mike Brandt, and Pete Frigliato, is that right? Frigliato, okay, great. We were called into action a couple of weeks ago. Pardon me?
Add Ronnie Ward there, we're going to share the cost.
Okay, and I'm sure that I speak on behalf of many people in this room regarding the procedures that this board is required to follow. First, let's talk about the project. It is a massive project. I don't care what the project sponsor is doing to scale it back, what kind of shell game they're playing with the size and numbers. Even as reduced, this is a massive project. We went from a project that was half the size of Crossgates to maybe a project that's a third the size of Crossgates. It's a massive project to squeeze into this area. I will not represent anybody regarding any project unless I visit the area and get to understand the area firsthand. The first thing that you recognize when you go out Hulderberg Avenue is it's more of a quaint street than an avenue. Once you get over the thruway, it becomes a bucolic neighborhood that is characterized by single-family houses and a 9-hole golf course. As you go further out, it becomes agricultural. Against this backdrop, all of which is consistent with the local zoning, you have this proposal for this massive project called senior living. Now, nobody's against senior living, and this town should probably go through the process to figure out how to site senior living in the town appropriately. But taking a massive project like this, superimposing it on this neighborhood, doing what amounts to a legal spot zoning, and not requiring a full environmental impact statement review of this project will be violative of the law. So let's talk about the seeker process. The State Environmental Quality Review Act was enacted 40 years ago to help decision makers like this town board make decisions on projects, to make sure that there is full transparency, that everything is evaluated, and that you have an environmental impact statement for projects that may have significance. What triggers seeker? Seeker is triggered by an action. What is an action? An action is a vote by this town board either in favor of local law number 2, which is a predicate for this project, or the zone change, which is absolutely necessary for this project. Both of them are actions, both of them are interrelated. Whoever spoke about one really spoke about both tonight, and this town board should consider both together. Now, once you recognize that seeker applies, which it clearly does here, what triggers the requirement to do an environmental impact statement? Anything that may, not will, may have a significant impact on the environment requires an environmental impact statement. And that includes traffic, it includes noise, it includes lighting, it includes endangered and threatened species, it includes wetlands, it includes water table, it includes aesthetic character of the community and the overall character of the community. If there is any potential significant impact to any of these, you have to stop the process, require an environmental impact statement, so that everything can be discussed in an environmental impact statement. What would be an environmental impact statement for a project like this? First of all, the project sponsor would have to figure out what their project is and not keep moving the shells before this town board and this community. They'd have to come forward in an EIS and identify what the project is. Then they would have to pull together all the resource reports that support the project and evaluate potential impacts. And those are usually put in appendices. And they're all made available to the public at one time so that the public can have an opportunity to review everything and not have reports dribbling in. Now, Mr. Dodson has been one of the best people that I've ever worked with as a client because he's very diligent. And he's made a number of FOIL requests, and every time he makes a FOIL request to this town, he gets something new. Because there's new filings by the project sponsor. They're changing the law, they're changing the project, they're filing resource reports. They filed a resource report regarding threatened and endangered species, but it's not a report, it's just a closing letter. The report's still to come. We heard tonight there's going to be a property valuation report. It's still to come. There's all these reports, and they're changing the project at the same time, and then you're going to be asked to vote upon this project next month. I think it's ludicrous. In my 40 years of practicing under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, I've never seen anything as egregious as this, where a project of this magnitude that will have this type of adverse impact on this beautiful neighborhood is being ramrodded through the town process without the proper review. What else is required for procedure? We heard fantastic discussion tonight about the need for the town to look for the proper place for senior housing, okay? The need to look at alternatives. Once you get an environmental impact statement, it has to include a discussion of alternatives. Alternatives means alternative size, shape, form, and color, as well as alternative locations. All right, that is really what should happen here in an environmental impact statement. In addition, and one of the hallmarks of seeker is mitigation. What are they doing to mitigate their impacts? Can they make the building smaller? Can they change the configuration? All of that is required under seeker, and it becomes a tool for this town board to actually make a better informed decision. So we respectfully submit that you should put the brakes on this project right away. Tell this project sponsor that they've long gone past the threshold for requiring an environmental impact statement, and tell them if they want to advance this project before this town, that they have to figure out what their project is, make a proposal in the form of an environmental impact statement to support their application, let the entire public have the opportunity to view that environmental impact statement and all the supporting appendices at one time, not have to make 5 FOIL requests as these reports dribble in, all right? And then have a public hearing about this project so that you can have informed residents. What you're really doing is you're robbing this community of the opportunity to even participate in this process. They came here tonight thinking it was one thing. They were told it's changed. Now the applicant's going to tell you that their comments don't matter because they were commenting on the wrong project. That's just not the way projects should be reviewed. However, there's even another reason why you don't have to go further with this project now. I like the gentleman before who said, you know, let's move to table it now. Well, you should address the spot zoning issue because that is a very real issue. All right, you have an agricultural district that has residential use, a golf course, and as you go away from that area, it becomes more agricultural. You're being asked to jam this commercial use, this mixed commercial use, in this very small area with dramatic impacts on community character. That is the precise definition of spot zoning. We have addressed in our letter all the reasons why this is illegal spot zoning. And by the way, for the benefit of the board, we left our notes out and put them at the end for the benefit of your council. We have cited all of the authority to support every proposition that we put forth. So I always like to give a town board a path forward, an exit strategy. Everybody wants an exit strategy in life. We don't want to just maybe say no and not know whether this is going to come back. Where do you go from here? I think you should vote this project down. I think you should go back to your comprehensive plan. I give the project's council an A for effort in terms of trying to find tidbits in the comprehensive plan to support what's happening here. But you should really go back and reopen your comprehensive plan to decide what to do for senior living in this community. Then you should create a law, not a law proposed by a developer that conveniently fits the developer's project 4 square, You should develop a law that's right for this town and encourages senior living in whatever size, shape, and form you believe is right in various parts of the community where you think it's right. Or create a PDD and allow them to propose it, but require applicants to do a thorough review, do an environmental impact statement, and look at alternative sites as part of that process. So once again, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's time for a timeout to slow down this project. Even if you don't stop this project now, either because of spot zoning or to require an environmental impact statement, I think procedurally you should tell the project sponsor, tell us what your final proposal is, give us all your resource reports, put them up on a website, and we'll hold a public hearing 30 days later so that the residents of this community have an opportunity to at least view what they're proposing. Thank you.
Are you speaking again? Or
Yes, please. Thank you again, Jack Dotson, 1311 Cipriana Terrace. There's been a lot of discussion again tonight about the pros and cons of this project. I'm going to skip over this project as it was originally configured and just get into the very details. Again, I did submit 5 FOIL requests to get information for this project. And again, I will commend the town. Diane, thank you for giving me information. Every week I'm getting information. To the point where I got a call on information yesterday. I went and paid my $17 to get it, but I got more information. To the town being good today because I had FOIL them a request for some hydroflow tests, which they told me they didn't have. I already had an engineering report that told me they had the flow test. They sent me the engineering report today for the flow test. Good, I appreciate that, thank you. Again, I'm going to start out with, again, for the record, I'm opposed to this project. It's not an $87 million project anymore, maybe it's 80. What I want to do now is just skip right to the engineering for this project. You know, we've talked about the character and all that, and I have all these chants in here that says does not fit in with the character of the neighborhood, but we're tired, we're going to move on. This project is spot zoning, as we talked, does not fit in with the character of the neighborhood. What we're missing in this project is there's displacement. There's displacement of deer, fox, hawks, woodpeckers, raccoons, turkeys, songbirds, small animals, frogs, trees, and open space. An entire ecosystem here going to be wiped out. Wiped out. Okay? A traffic study indicates there'll be no traffic impacts from this. The recommendation, again, from the traffic consultant is minimal impact. What they recommend is a tweak of the timing of the lights at Helderberg Avenue and Curry Road and Lydius and Carmen Road is all that is needed. The traffic consultant did not say that at the Malosi's meeting, we asked specifically for what is the percentage increase in traffic from existing. We didn't get that answer again tonight. You read the traffic consultant's report, they're going to change the timing of the lights at Curry Road and Helderberg by maybe a second or two. And then they're going to change the lights at Carmen Road and Lydius about a second or two. And that's going to flow all this traffic for us. It's that easy, folks. No way. My specialty is water, wastewater, and storm drainage. I'm just going to hit some of the particulars. The water supply and distribution study was completed for this proposed development. The report was very detailed for the evaluation of flows and pressures within the development. Yeah, good job, consultant. No evaluation was completed to determine the impact of an additional 80,000 gallons a day on an average day basis, or a peak flow of 300,000 gallons per day on the town's distribution system. For anyone that knows Cipriana Terrace, we're up on a hill. My neighbors have a water supply pressure of around 20 some odd PSI. Not a lot of pressure. And the state sanitary code says, and Penn State standards or design guidelines that we use, you gotta have a minimum of 35 pounds of pressure just for domestic use, and nowhere in the distribution system can there be a pressure lower than 20 PSI under a fire flow. That certainly exists on Cipriana Terrace now. What do you think is going to happen again when you have flows of 80,000 to 300,000 gallons a day at that site? There was detailed information in there on our water storage tank that's behind our properties. That water storage tank operates in a zone of about 58 feet to 78 feet. It's 90 feet high. Apparently the town doesn't use it up to 90 feet, probably because hydraulically it will not fill based on all the other tanks that they have in town. So we already have a lower pressure because the tank's not being utilized for its intended purpose. When you start to take these numbers and add that flow to it, we have pressures on Cipriana Terrace that'll be below 20 PSI. The developer did not do a very good job getting into the details of what the impact is on the town system. They did a very good job to make sure they had pressure in their own. You can't do this project without some infrastructure improvements on Helderberg Avenue as far as the size of the water main. A detailed sewer study was done, and you know there was two options. Option A was going, like I said, across the thruway, Carmen to Hamburg. The other option was Keter Drive to Church, and then coming in on County Line Road. Preferred option again is the Helderberg or the Hamburg Street Sewer District. Again, the town would like to lower sewer rates over there for the residents. My question is again, who's going to own the pipes under the thruway? Would the town take ownership of the sewer mains for the development? Was the Hamburg Street Sewer District designed for the additional sewerage? And what is the financial impact of the Hamburg Street Sewer District? Because there will be a financial impact to the town to convey sewage from that development. I reviewed, and I just got that yesterday, is what we call a cultural resource study, which is basically look at artifacts and stuff in on this development. They did indeed find, which I thought was very interesting, is found fire-cracked rock scatters on the ground property. Fire-cracked rock is the product of cobbles that were repeatedly heated and cooled and used by the Native Americans to construct earth ovens or roasting platforms to boil water. The report concluded without intact features, very little additional information can be learned about the function and purpose of the fire-cracked rock sites. The report concluded that the project would not impact any significant archaeological sites or deposits. The public needs to know there are deposits on the site, just not significant enough to preserve. A threatened and endangered species habitat suitability assessment was conducted for the 96-acre site. The site contains about 38 acres of forest, 18 acres of golf course, 27 acres of agriculture use, and the remaining 18 acres is residential. Approximately 13 acres of forest are proposed to be cleared. The report identifies that potential threatened and endangered species at the site include the Carter blue butterfly, which is endangered, and the northern long-eared bat, which is threatened. A habitat suitability assessment was completed for the two species. Field assessments were conducted in December. Now we're looking for bats and we're looking for the Carter butterfly habitat in December 2016. We looked all winter long when there was snow cover, January, February, March, April. No bats, no Carter butterfly, no habitat, it's covered up. And in May, we went back out there just to confirm he's not there, okay? To determine if there was suitable habitat for these species, okay? The report recommended that the developer avoid, minimize, and mitigate impacts. All site clearing to be conducted between October 1st and March 31st. While their consultant made a mistake there. That is not for the bats, okay? It's for the Indiana bats. So they need to go back in the report and look. I looked at the report and I noticed it was done by a licensed surveyor that just happens to do development work for contractors and developers. He's not even a biologist. Okay, so I'm reviewing a report that's not done by a qualified person, okay, to do this type of work. That's not a good thing. We're going to do some fence around the perimeter of the proposed clearing to prevent accidental clearing, just in case they take 2 or 3 or 4 more trees that the bats in. Okay? Not good. And no construction activities are going to happen after sunset. Oh, I like that. That's great. Really? This project will indeed ruin an entire ecosystem. Not for it. The other question I have, and I'm going to wrap up here in about 2 minutes, is what is the plan to correct flooding, the flooding issue on Helderberg Avenue near Whispering Pines? The county struggled with this thing for the 15 years that I've been there. You know what happens on Helderberg Avenue when we get heavy rainstorms? There's an entire lane that's gone. It's under a couple feet of water. We all deal with it, okay? We all deal with it. However, we deal with it by crossing over the center line when no one's coming, or dodging it at times, because who wants to go through this big puddle of water? We just don't do it. With an increase in traffic, this situation has only become more dangerous. That needs to get resolved no matter what you guys do here. There is overwhelming opposition to this project in Colonial Manor, Helderberg Avenue, Cindy Stacy Crest, Netherlands, Ghent, Ronnie Court, Cipriano Terrace, Keeter, Edwards, Fisher, and Lake Drive, to name a few. Residents who own property adjacent and opposite to this project are opposed to this development and the proposed zone change. Just keep that in mind. We, the affected residents, must defend our quality of life, our property values, and the character of our neighborhood, or we're going to lose it. Make no mistake, this proposed development is about profit at the expense of the local residents who have maintained the character of this neighborhood for decades. And I found out today there's people that have lived in these neighborhoods for 40 or 50 years, even longer, many decades. I urge the town board to vote no to this zone change. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Okay, so we'll keep public hearing 2 open through June 14th, and let's go for public hearing 3, please. And by the way, after the number 3, we're going to take a very, very quick, like 5-minute break, if that's okay with everyone. And I mean 5 minutes. We'll be out 5 minutes, back in 5 minutes, okay? So everybody can stretch a little bit, because these chairs are a little short for me. And I'm not a tall guy. Yeah, number 3.
To allow for a change of zone request from Anthony Pizzone and Scott Emerald for property located at 647 Marival Road, Rotterdam, New York, 12306, and is known as tax map number 48.17-1-1.11. The applicant is requesting a change of zone from agricultural A1 to general business B2 on 4 acres of a 5.84 acre parcel for the construction of self-storage units. Anthony Mbisi.
My name is Anthony Mbisi, and I have been a resident at 56 Manor Court for the past 18 years. My home lies within a small residential cul-de-sac neighborhood near the Rival Road, Burdick Street intersection. I recently received notification that there was a proposed change of zone from agricultural to general business at 647 Rival Road. Furthermore, the applicant proposes to construct self-storage units at this location. My wife and I have already submitted a letter of opposition to the town clerk earlier this week. In addition, our community has submitted a petition with the names, addresses, and signatures of 68 local and area residents opposing the rezoning. When my wife and I first decided to purchase our home here, one of the qualities of this neighborhood that attracted us was the fact that this residential area was relatively secluded from surrounding businesses by this largely wooded agricultural area. After closer inspection of the plan, I realized that the area to be rezoned was immediately adjacent to my own property, in that my property shares the largest stretch of common border with this area. After talking with many of our neighbors, our neighborhood community collectively agrees that the rezoning and commercial development of this area is inconsistent with the surrounding residential properties and will negatively impact the character of our quiet cul-de-sac neighborhood. It will clear the area that currently serves to buffer the residents along Manor Court and our neighborhood from the traffic noise and businesses that are located along Burdick Street. And it will reduce surrounding property values, and given the proximity of my own home to this, my property is likely to suffer the most. Most of that area is proposed to be covered in asphalt, where self-storage units are to be constructed, literally bringing this business within footsteps of my back door. Included in the letter of opposition, we included 2 photographs taken from the back deck of my home looking out over this area. The proposed construction of storage units at this location seems rather unreasonable, given that similar storage facilities currently exist within 2 miles radius of this site. A closer look at the area proposed to be rezoned indicates that it is separated into 2 distinct parcels of land that are separated by buried natural gas lines. In order to accomplish the proposed plans, the applicant has to gain access and transport heavy equipment across them. Given the proximity to existing residential homes, the potential danger of damaging these gas lines presents an unnecessary safety risk to the property and residents who live in this area. Another area of concern is the effect that this will have on the water management in this area. There currently exists a surface and groundwater management area nearby for stormwater runoff. Current topography shows a significant drop in elevation on the northwest corner that extends down towards this area and plays a critical role in directing the flow of runoff and groundwater away from the area homes. The fact that the proposed plan introduces an additional stormwater management area not far from my own home further reflects acknowledgement by the planners that they anticipate an effect on the way that groundwater moves through this area. I've lived at this residence for 18 years, and each and every year, beginning in late winter and extending through early spring, water drainage poses a significant issue in the entire area surrounding my home and extends towards the bordering homes along Manor Court. Clearing and grading the land south of the natural gas lines has the potential to misdirect surface and groundwater, which can potentially cause significant damage to area homes. The last area of concern I'd like to raise is the effect that rezoning and clearing this land will have on local environment and wildlife that move through our neighborhood. The wooded area provides an attractive environment to a variety of animals that frequent this area. Undoubtedly, clearing the land and covering a majority of it with asphalt and storage units will have a severe impact on the lives of these animals in our area. We urge you to vote no on this zone.
Hi, my name is Janine Ambisi, and I live at 56 Manor Court. I'm here to voice my personal opposition to the rezoning. I have a beautifully landscaped yard that I've worked hard over the last 18 years to maintain. I love nothing more than coming home from work and relaxing in our yard in our neighborhood. Rezoning will devastate our backyards. We will no longer be able to enjoy our yards. This is not what I envisioned when I purchased our house in this quiet, private, beautiful neighborhood. I saw us raising our children there and living there forever. These dreams seem to be no longer in our future. And all because people who purchased the land did so solely to make a profit, not thinking or caring about the families and the communities they affected. You have the power and the chance to change this for the better and for the right reasons. So please vote against this rezoning, or consider a partial rezone which does not affect our homes and our spaces and the wildlife and the woods behind our home. Thank you.
So on public hearing 3, we're going to declare public hearing 3 closed at this time.
Can't hear you.
Oh, I apologize. Let me do it this way. Declare public hearing 3 closed at this time. We have no one else to speak, but know that in a future town board meeting, if this change of zone request appears as a resolution, you have another opportunity to speak at that time as well. And so don't hesitate to do that. That's basically another opportunity to come and voice your feelings and understanding of the project. And that's it. Anyone else? That's it. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we're going to come right back. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for your patience. At this point of the meeting, we have public comment privilege of the floor. Do we have anyone for that? Okay. Is there anyone that does want to speak tonight that didn't sign up, that came late? No. Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Marco, please go into 16017.
Appoint individuals to various seasonal summer positions at the Town of Rotterdam Parks Department effective May 30th, 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Member Valano, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Member Larmore. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Tomazon?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, Resolution 16017 passes. Resolution 16117.
Appoint Rachel Peak of Rotterdam, New York, 12306, to the position of part-time clerk for the Supervisor's Office, part-time with no compensatory time and no employee benefits at an hourly rate of $9.70, commencing on June 1st, 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion, please? I'll move. Motion by Member Christou. Second by Member Larmore, Lightning Larmore. We're calling him now. That was quick. Okay, anyone on the question? Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Tomazon?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 16117 passes. Resolution 16217.
Appoint and reappoint individuals to seasonal positions in the Parks and Recreation Summer Program retroactive to May 13th, 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Member Valano. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Member Christou. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Tomazon?
Yes.
4 yes, 1
Okay,
absent.
Resolution 16217 passes. Resolution 16317.
Appoint and reappoint individuals to seasonal positions in the Parks and Recreation Summer Program effective Monday, June 26, 2017.
May I have a motion, please? I'll move. Motion by Member Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Member Larmore. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Tomazon?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, Resolution 16317 passes. Resolution 16417.
A resolution to reduce the salary of the Director of Public Works retroactive to May 15, 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Okay, motion by
I'll
Member
second.
Christou, second by Member Valano. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Tomazon?
Yes.
4 yes, 1
Okay,
absent.
Resolution 16417 passes. Resolution 16517.
Call for public hearing to be held on Wednesday, June 14, 2017, at 7 p.m. at the John F. Kirby Government Center, Town Hall, 1100 Sunrise Boulevard, Rotterdam, New York, 12306, upon adoption of a proposed local law of the year 2017 for the following purpose: to create a new zoning classification of Chapter 270 zoning, Article 31, entitled Senior Living District, in recognition that the Town of Rotterdam's current zoning law does not adequately address the housing needs of an aging senior population. This proposed district will specifically address zoning changes to allow for senior housing which met the unique needs of senior citizens and allows seniors to age in place. The proposed district allows for single-family detached homes, townhomes, apartments, assisted living, and memory care housing not to exceed 521 units, recreational facilities, and a senior services center. This second public hearing will allow the public to express further opinions both for and against the proposed zoning district. The Town of Rotterdam has made revisions to the original draft of the local law. The proposed senior living district now allows for 159 fewer housing units than originally proposed. No building within the district will be taller than 3 stories, and an emergent or urgent care center within the senior living district is no longer permitted.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
For the public hearing, I move.
Okay, motion by Member Christou. Is there a second, please?
I second the public hearing, but that doesn't mean I
accept the zoning, I accept the public hearing.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Ray. So we got a motion by member Christie and a second by member Larmore. Anyone in the question?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. I wanted it to be crystal clear that I fundamentally oppose this level of development, even in scaled-back form, at the location where it's being proposed. I think that this is a phenomenal project that should in fact be put elsewhere in the town of Rotterdam. I certainly don't want to lose a developer who is willing to make this kind of investment in our community. However, because of spot zoning and all of the other issues that I've brought up at prior meetings, I ultimately do not want to see this project proceed. However, everybody has an opportunity to be heard, both for and against. And I think that that does in fact need to happen. And I hope that more people do come out, both for and against, at the next meeting to have their voices be heard.
Agreed. Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else in the question? Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera is absent. Mr. Valano?
For the reasons stated, yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 165-17 passes. Resolution 166-17.
Call for public hearing to be held on Wednesday, June 14, 2017, at 7 p.m. at the John F. Curtin Government Center, Town Hall, 1100 Sunrise Boulevard, Rotterdam, New York, 12306, to hear the comments for and against the following purpose: to allow for a change of zone request from Lisi Senior Living LLC contract vendee for property located in Rotterdam, New York, 12306, known as tax map number 71.5-1-5.112, 2188 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-7.1, 2196 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-5.111, 2200 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-9, 2204 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-8.111, no address, 71-5-1-8.112, 2208 Helderberg Avenue, 71.5-1-10.21, 2212 Helderberg Avenue, 71.9-2-21.11 Browns Farm. The applicant is requesting a change of zone from agricultural A1 to senior living district SLD for a project to be known as the Whispering Pines Senior Living Community. The proposal is to generally consist of a senior living community with a mix of housing types, including independent living, single-family detached and townhomes, independent living apartment units, assisted living units, and memory care living units, along with a senior services center, a 9-hole executive golf course, and associated parking, roadways, multi-use paths, and other improvements, all to be constructed on a plus or minus 90 acres east of Helderberg Avenue and west of the New York State Thruway I-90.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Okay, motion by member Christie. Is there a second, please?
I second for just a public hearing.
Okay, motion, or a second by member Larmore. Anyone else in the question?
I have the same objections that I put forth in the last resolution, but for the purpose of the public hearing, I plan to vote yes.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 166-17 passes. Resolution 167-17.
Before you get to 167-17, I'm going to recuse myself and step off the dais as this is a project that involves me.
You want to step off the dais?
Shouldn't I have my next person?
Go ahead. She says, don't go too far though, because then we'll be here until 11.
See if they ever got the romaine lettuce.
Oh, gosh, okay. Romaine lettuce. Go ahead, Diane.
Okay.
Yeah, 167-17.
Okay. Refer to Planning Commission for report and recommendation thereon, a proposed local law of the year 2017 for the following purpose: to allow for a change of zone request from Bristow Real Estate Holdings LLC, contract vendee, 351 to Waysburg Road, Schenectady, New York, 12306, for property located at 1006 Wallace Avenue, Rotterdam, New York, 12306, which is known as tax maps number 48.14-13-6, 48.19-13-7.1, and 48.19-13-17. The applicant is requesting a change of zone on the 0.65 acres of property from single-family residential R1 to general business B2 for the construction of an additional 27 parking spaces.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by member Milano, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Lattimore. Anyone on the question? And just on the question for complete disclosure, this property is located adjacent to Top's Diner, and that is why I haven't stepped off away from the board for the moment. And so we are voting on asking the planning commission for a report and recommendation for a zone change for a one-family home that is adjacent to the diner for additional parking. Sure. Use the microphone, Rick, if you don't mind, so I guess I'm
I just wanted to find out exactly, is it on the other side of the fence?
It's closer to the water tower.
Yeah, that's what it
Bernard,
is.
right, that side.
It's got a fence up, so it's just on the other side, so
Right.
just take that fence down and add.
diagram in your binder. Yeah, you're not supposed to say anything. Just kidding. So it's true, but we're being nice to him. But that's what it is, yeah, it's right, so yeah. We know where the dumpsters are on the back there, it's that side. Okay, motion by member Milano, second by member Larmore. Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
All right, so when I say Mr. Christo, does he have to say recused?
He should, yeah.
Mr. Christo?
What's that?
To say,
Oh, yeah, I recuse myself.
Thank you. Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera is absent. Mr. Villano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
So there's 3 yeses, 1 absent, and 1 recused.
Okay, resolution 167-17 passes. Resolution 168-17.
Refer to Planning Commission for the report and recommendation upon a proposed local law of the year 2017 for the following purpose: to create a new zoning classification of Chapter 270 zoning, Article 31, entitled Mixed Use Overlay Zoning.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by member Milano, a second, please.
I'll second the planning board.
Okay, second by member Larmore. Anyone on the question?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. I have to say, I've been really impressed with Jonathan Tigley on several of these proposals. And I'm not shocked that he put something in front of us that makes a lot of sense. After looking at other municipalities and how they have utilized mixed-use planning to the betterment of their community, I'm very excited to see that it's finally coming to the town of Rotterdam. The horizontal and vertical mixed use of adding residential and office space up above retail is fantastic. It'll create a neighborhood vibe to some of our major thoroughfares, and I think that this is a great use of our zoning laws going forward. I am the most interested ultimately in what they are planning to do with the commercial PUD projects or zones. No such areas have been identified yet, but I'm certainly interested in having retail fronts on larger industrial areas behind them. You get the best of both worlds in those kind of settings.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I fully agree with you. So we have a motion by member Milano, second by member Larmore. Anyone else on the question? We'll have more about this in a couple of minutes. So, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Villano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1
Resolution 168-17 passes. Resolution 169-17.
Call for public hearing to be held on Wednesday, June 14, 2017, at 7 p.m. at the John F. Kirby Government Center, Town Hall, 1100 Sunrise Boulevard, Rotterdam, New York, 12306, upon adoption of a proposed local law of the year 2017 for the following purpose. Town Board of the Town of Rotterdam will hold a public hearing to consider said map and plan and estimate of costs in the sum of $5,100,000, of which the town will file a grant application on or before June 23, 2017 with the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation to cover up to 60% of the capital project costs and additions and improvements to the facilities and the I never heard of that word. Appurtenances? How do you pronounce that word? Appurtenances. What is it?
Appurtenances.
Appurtenances. Thank you very much. Appurtenances throughout Consolidated Water District Number 5, and to hear all persons interested in the subject matter thereof concerning the same, and to take such action thereon as is required or authorized by law.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion for public hearing.
Motion by member Larmore, second by member Christo. Anyone on the question? On the question, because we'll be having a public hearing, there's there's comments I'd like to make tonight, but I'm going to, I just waited until our public hearing here on the 14th, and our engineer will be, that has been already engaged in the project, will be in the town hall to discuss more specifics at that time. Regarding some comments that were made earlier, I just want to say this about, any project, and, irrespective or inclusive, I guess, also in some respects of the proposed Whispering Pines project. When it comes to mitigation costs, engineers put those reports together, calculations are made if there are costs that need to be borne by a developer to make financial, if you will, give financial consideration to the town, whether it's water district, sewer district, or whatever the case may be. Secondly, the other thing along these lines, especially with the water system, we have begun on an agreement, if you will, by this board to make sure that we make all improvements that we can to our infrastructure as quickly as possible. Luckily for us, the state of New York and also the federal government seems to be loosening some dollars that hopefully will flow down to the local governments and assist us in continuing to make improvements and expand on our water system and our sewer systems. And in particular, also, what do we can for stormwater and mitigation along those lines. So, with that said, I just want to thank the board members. I mean, there are things that we do disagree on from time to time, but when it comes to the infrastructure needs for the town and the improvements that need to be made, we seem to always be in unison, and I appreciate that very much. Because without which, it doesn't matter who sits up here, the town will not progress. So, Ms. Marker, we have a motion by Councilman Larmore and a second by Councilman Christou. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Villano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 169-17 passes. Resolution 170-17.
The town board of the town of Rotterdam hereby authorizes the appropriation of parkland fees in an amount not to exceed $1,450, and hereby modifies the general fund budget by increasing estimated revenues A510 and the revenue account entitled Parkland Fees A2001.200100 by $1,450, and increasing appropriations A960 in the subsidiary account entitled Parks Improvements A7110.4153 by $1,450 for waste receptacles at Kiwanis, Westina, Pansy, Memorial, Jaraca, Faro, Eunice O. Esposito, Carmen, Boxwood Park, and Veterans Memorial at Town Hall.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Member Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Member Milano. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Markle, please call the roll.
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera absent. Mr. Villano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 170-17 passes. Resolution 171-17.
The town board of the town of Rotterdam hereby authorizes the appropriation of parkland fees in an amount not to exceed $2,633.53, and hereby modifies the general fund budget by increasing estimated revenues A510 and the revenue account entitled Parkland Fees A2001.200100 by $2,633.53, and increasing appropriations A960 and the subsidiary account entitled Parks Improvement A7110.4153 by $2,633.53 for payment to the Little Falls Lumber.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Member Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that one.
Okay, second by Member Larmore. And just so everyone knows, this, there's a couple of resolutions here. These have to do, this one and another, the following has to do with the construction of a new pavilion at Memorial Park once the basketball courts are completed there, redone, if you will. There'll be a new pavilion, and approximately half of the cost of the pavilion is coming from a donation from the Rotterdam Business Association. Through materials, we have a follow-up resolution here for that. So I want to thank the Rotterdam Business Association, its members, for their attention and investment in our parks. And we'll have some other announcements along these lines, and hopefully in the near future too. They see the work that we're doing, and we're looking for a project that would benefit the community, something that would be visible. And we applied for this grant basically from them, along with some other grants that were applied for by other community groups, and we happened to receive one. So again, thanks to them. So Anyone else in the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 170, 117 passes. Resolution 172-17.
The town board of the town of Rotterdam hereby authorizes the appropriation of parkland fees in an amount not to exceed $400. Hereby modifies the general fund budget by increasing estimated revenues A510 and the revenue account entitled parkland fees A2001.200100 by $400. And increasing appropriations A960 and the subsidiary account entitled Parks Improvement A7110.4153 by $400 to cover underestimated costs and resolution number 12417.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by member Christo, second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Valano. Anyone on the question? Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 172-17 passes. Resolution 173-17.
The town board of the town of Rotterdam hereby accepts a gift of lumber from the Rotterdam Business Association to install a pavilion at Memorial Park.
Okay, may I have a motion, please? Motion by member Christo, is there a second, please? Second by member Longmore. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Resolution 173-17 passes. Resolution 174-17.
Authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Schenectady Musical Union Local 85-133, 191 Waters Road, Greenwich, New York, 12834, in the sum of $3,215 to provide music for the 2017 Summer Concert Series held at the Rotterdam Senior Center, 2639 Hamburg Street, Schenectady, New York, 12303, on Monday evenings beginning June 5th, 2017, and ending August 28th, 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by member Valano, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by member Christo. Anyone on the question?
Just one thing, I already discussed it with the board, but I'm definitely for this. I just would like to see us maybe take a look at trying to find another venue for this, maybe closer to the middle of the town, so that everybody can go to it, even like we discussed, maybe like a park setting or something of that nature. Just a nice, better environment so more people can enjoy it. Because when you're kind of stuck in a parking lot, it just takes away from the aesthetics of what you're trying to do.
Agreed. Well, we will definitely look into that. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll. For
Miss-
170.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 174-17 passes. Resolution 175-17.
Authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Tyco Integrated Security located at 1 Winners Circle, Albany, New York, 12205, to install access control system with card readers and electronic locks in an amount not to exceed $26,425.26.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Okay, motion by member Christo, second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Valano. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 175-17 passes. Resolution 176-17.
Authorize the supervisor to accept funds from the New York Rising Projects for the New York Flood Protection's Water Well System Improvements Project in the amount of $16,696.25.
Okay, motion, please.
I'll move.
Motion by member Longmore, second by member Christo.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone on the question? Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Resolution 176-17 passes. Resolution 177-17.
Authorize the comptroller to appropriate unrestricted fund balance in the Special Drainage District Number 1 Fund SD1, also known as Diana Estates Drainage Fund, to cover the cost of a new pump and any repair costs outstanding for the old pump in an amount not to exceed $8,000.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by member Valano, second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, second by member Longmore. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 177-17 passes. Resolution 178-17.
Authorize the comptroller to make an interfund loan from the general operating fund to sewer district number 7 for principal and interest cost of a ban payment for the period of 1 year in the amount not to exceed $185,000.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Okay, motion by member Valano,
Yes.
second by member Christie.
Yes.
Anyone on the question? Mr. Marco? Go ahead. Rick, was it?
Well, I was just wondering, I was wondering if you could just explain to the, there's not many people that,
Yeah, gotcha.
people, what this is about so that they understand it.
Sure, so what's happening is we have funds that we have taken out a ban, or borrowed funds for the Hamburg Street sewer project. And in order for us to make the payment for principal and interest, this is basically moving the money from the ban, which really, those funds are now contained in our general operating fund for sewer district 7, which is what that line is called. That sewer district runs to the city of Schenectady, that does not run to the town of Rotterdam. And so, in part of the project costs for all of the work that DOT will be doing, we basically piggybacked, if you will, or joined in on the project that they're doing along Hamburg Street in order to get the sewer district cost much lower than if we try to do this ourselves and putting in that sewer line. Secondly, or lastly, I guess I want to say that we have, I've said this in other meetings, we had engaged the engineering firm that's already done and working on the project on Hamburg Street, Chazen Engineering, to apply for grant funding to help reduce the cost of to the homeowners and businesses along Hamburg Street for the cost of this sewer district or sewer line. That's it.
All right, what I meant is, just so that the public knows, what we're doing is borrowing the money from one spot to pay this, but once we get all the taxes in from this, then we will be paying it right back. So it's not like something that we're just gonna extend this out. The plan is to pay it back as soon as all the taxes are in, but they're not all in yet, so we gotta wait. So that's more or less the reason for that.
Yes, I mean, technically it's not taxes, it's the cost of the fees, really, the sewer, debt service, yeah, but that's okay, that's all right, yeah. It's not operation and maintenance would be more than, I would say it shouldn't have a tax component, but again, that's really a user fee, basically for the special services. Okay, all right. Resolution 178-17 was Marco. We have a motion by member Valano, second by member Christie. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Resolution 178-17 passes. Resolution 179-17.
Authorize budget transfers by the town controller to various accounts for 2017.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Okay, motion by member Valano, second by member Christie.
Sure.
Okay. Good, you guys agree. Anyone else in the question there? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera absent. Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, resolution 179-17 passes. Okay, anyone have anything else that they'd like to discuss tonight? Or you all talked about?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that
How
motion.
do you do that? How do you do that? Both of you. Okay, we have a motion by member Christie and a second by member Larimore to adjourn. By voice vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming this evening.